Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/JoshuaVelas and become a $2 backer today and get early access to the new episodes. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below, but for now, on to today's episode. You're listening to the Augment Experience podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Joshua Velas. I'm a student, musician, and a gamer at heart. Join me as I sit down every week to talk about all the latest news in the technology, business, and video game world. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the show. My name is Joshua Velas. I am your host, as usual. And today is a very special episode. Obviously, as you guys can tell, on January 11th, we celebrated the 1-year anniversary of the show. And for me, it's surreal. And obviously, today's episode is going to be the 1-year anniversary special. And for me, in this episode, I mainly want to focus on just reflecting on, what's happened in this 1 year, because a lot has happened in the course of a year, if I'm being honest with y'all. And there's been highs, there's been lows, and I want to share that with y'all. But at the same time, I want to use this as a way of encouraging new creators that, if you guys are interested in becoming a podcaster or interested in maybe just starting, not even becoming a podcaster, but just starting little talks here and there and just record yourself and talk about them, or just anybody interested in becoming a content creator, that, to give some encouragement and, let my experience be as a way of showing that, hey, it's not so bad once you take that leap. And I think that's something that I had to realize in the process of doing all this, because it definitely was a struggle in the sense of getting out of my comfort zone. Because I'll be honest with y'all, if any of y'all have listened to the first 3 episodes of the show, you guys can clearly tell I was extremely nervous. I really wasn't, I really wasn't that comfortable, and because it was weird, being in front of a microphone and basically recording my voice and bringing you information about stuff that most of you probably didn't know about, probably stuff that you knew about, and you already had expectations coming in. And it's crazy, because I was so nervous, because it was something that I hadn't experienced before. It's something that not that many people I know have done. And I didn't really have an idea where it would go. Like, I had an idea like how I wanted to start this process, how I wanted to go about doing stuff, like in terms of equipment and upgrading later down the line, mastering, what do I specifically want to fine tune? What do I consider as my style? And I primarily focus on that. And obviously, like organizing the topics, like taking down ideas from obviously all of y'all. And, because you guys vote on the topics, and then, I talk about it, I do my research. And it definitely is it's an interesting change, but in the good way. I say that in a good sense. And for me, it's something that it took a while to get going. It took a while to understand, like, hey, you have to learn how to get uncomfortable, bud, and you have to learn how to be uncomfortable, because if you're always comfortable, then you're not really growing. You're not really doing your best if you're just comfortable the entire time, And that's something I had to learn, because there was lessons I learned along the way that it was hard, because, there were times where I would screw up in an audio file and I have to do it all over again. Or there's times where I had to take an incredibly long amount of time editing and I had to do it manually, or do like so many things, technical issues, figuring out when I wanted to record, finding a room to record, dealing with background noise. It was very tedious. And then even in my personal life, there was personal stuff going on, and it definitely didn't. I wouldn't say it got in the way, because to me, this show was a way for me to keep going forward, you know? And it was a great outlet, because you guys have given me so much that already we're at 780 downloads as of the time of recording this episode. We already have over 200 plus listeners of the show. Obviously, the Patreon page, you know, thankful for my Patreon, you know, for my one patron. I love you, bro. And, you know, obviously it's been incredibly humbling, you know, that somebody was willing to donate money to the show, you know, and just, you know, support the show. And I think, to me, it's definitely just been an entire year of growth, because obviously this is the first year of the show. This is the first time I've made the show possible, that I was able to pull this off. And, you know, we did it really well. And you guys loved all the topics we've done so far. We're already 81 episodes into the show. And it's crazy, you know, because it doesn't make sense. Like, I wouldn't say it doesn't make sense, but to me, in my brain, it doesn't make so much sense, because you guys constantly keep coming back and listening. And I mainly think it's because you guys like what you hear, you know? You guys like coming back and hearing me talk about these things, you know, get my insight on these topics that we talk about. And even when we talk about the more personal things, you guys really like those episodes too. And I think for me, that I would tell myself, if I was to go back and tell myself, hey, think about it like this, bud, that it's going to be hard. You know, there's going to be challenges, because that's how life is. There's always going to be a challenge, and there's always going to be a mountaintop you need to climb, you know, when it comes to life. There's always something you have to do better at, that you always want to master. And for you, it's going to be this show. It's going to take time, because you can't just force it. It's not just something you'd be like, overnight, great, I'm awesome. No, it's something that you learn from trial and error. You learn to get comfortable with what you're working with, and then when you've already done that, then you move on, and you learn how to adapt. That whenever a new circumstance arises or something changes, you know how to respond, or at least have an idea how to respond, you know. And I think it's something that I had to learn, you know, but it's just been incredible for me personally. That I know a lot of people have given me a lot of praise of doing all this. Like, a lot of people are extremely, you know, encouraged that I pulled this off, and that showed them that it is possible to become, you know, a good podcaster. And even though, yeah, like, I get it, we're currently in a place where more people are starting to do podcasting, because there seems like this rise in popularity, or, you know, increase in demand for podcasts, you know, and you have to find a way to, you know, stick out. And, you know, I kind of take Juan's advice, my friend Juan, that I don't want to go by the algorithm, that I just don't want to talk about all the big fancy schmancy stuff and just keep info dumping the same thing that everybody says, you know, and talking about the latest smartphone and just regurgitating specs, or, you know, talking just about Apple, or just to get the views, because Apple, obviously, when you talk about Apple, it generates more views than when you talk about anything else, you know. And that I don't want to go by an algorithm to get my listeners. My listeners, if they to be my listeners, they always come because they want to hear my genuine opinion on things. They want to hear my take, and I'm not gonna, you know, take sides on the matter. Like, I'm gonna try to be as objective and as fair as I possibly can be, unless if I can't. Like, I'll be honest that I'll share my own opinion, and then I'll share what we can consider as objective as possible, and, you know, and dissect the information and present it in a way that you guys can understand, but at the same time, that you guys are the ones who make the decisions, not me. I can't make your decisions for you. And I think, to me, that's always been the nice thing about the show, is that I can just be me. That I don't have to worry about someone telling me, hey, you can't say this, you can't say that. No, it's my show. You know, I get to essentially say whatever I want if I want to. Now, granted, I have to be very careful with that because that's why I have, my own personal, I'd say checks in place, because I don't want to go around spreading false information. I don't want to do, drama news or junk like that. Like, I don't want to be fake news, that I want to give you the information as honestly as I can be, try to state the facts if there's facts and then give my opinions on how I feel about those things. And, and give some observations on how I see things going. And it's always been a good way of having fun because it keeps me on my toes, because it helps me pay attention to what I'm saying. And it's always been nice, to be honest. Like, yeah, I made some episodes that made people mad, and I've made some episodes that made people extremely happy because they agreed with my opinion. But that's just how life is everyone's a critic, like, there's always going to be people that like what you say, and there's always going to be people that don't like what you say, and that's just how life is. And I think for me, it's always been funny getting to see that, because you guys, if you don't agree with my opinion, you guys let me know. And if you do agree with my opinion, you guys always let me know. And I think that's what's always awesome is that, my listener base is very active. And that's why I love you guys so much, because you guys always come back, support the show, listen, share, and it's definitely incredible for me. Now, for anybody that's considering of starting a podcast or even content creation in general, I'm going to give you all some advice because, I know I'm not the biggest channel around. I know I'm not the biggest podcast around. I'm not. But that doesn't mean the advice isn't as sincere, that it isn't genuine, that it isn't, applicable to you. Because I was in your position 1 year ago, like scared, not knowing how to start or where to start. And I think for me, the advice I give you is don't be afraid to just jump in, Don't be afraid to jump in. Jumping in is what makes it fun, is you go head first. Now, granted, I always say it's nice to at least have a plan, have something in mind. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? How do you want people to view you when you're doing this? Like, how do you want to come off? How do you want to present yourself? And not in a fake way. I'm not trying to, say that, hey, you should just change who you are. No, it's saying, how do you present who you really are? Is how do you get that across and not create a fake image? Because that's what people want to see, is they want to see who the real you is. They don't want to see just some character, they don't want to see an actor. They don't want to see a facade. They want to see the real person talking, They want to know who is blank, like who is this person? What are they doing? Like, what's going on in their life? Like, how can we relate to them? And I think that's what always makes it interesting, because that's the real reason why also, in my opinion, I do the Real Talks. Is the Real Talks is a way for people to genuinely see what's going in my mind, going on in my head 24/7. It's not just, specifically what's going on in my head about tech, video games or business. No, this is, everything, like everything that's going on in my head. Real talk is everything, anything. And I think that's what makes it really interesting, because it helps me, show people, hey, this is who I really am. If you don't like me, that's fine. Like, you're not allowed, like, you're not, I'm not forcing you to like me. That's, I can't do that, but I'm still going to be me. Like, I know I'm going to make mistakes. I know I make mistakes. Like, I'm not going to stand here and pretend that I'm some, holy warrior that doesn't make mistakes, because I'm not. I make a lot of mistakes, and I'm honest with y'all when I do. And I think, to me, that's what my main piece of advice would be to creators is, hey, don't be afraid to jump. Don't be afraid to jump in. The water's fine. The water's not going to bite you. It takes time to make a splash, but it always happens. That you just have to be consistent. And I know I sound like I'm a broken record saying, yeah, you got to be consistent. You got to, put effort into it. But no, there's a reason why people say that, is because it's true. If you're not trying, then why try to begin with? Why do it at all if you're not going to give it your all? And I think a lot of people don't seem to realize this. They just want to half-ass things. They just want to autopilot them. They don't actually care about putting in the details and paying attention to those little details. They don't. They just leave it. And for me, like, I'm always somebody that cares deeply about the details. I always pay attention. That's why most people call me an observationist, because they always like how I pay attention. That they know that, hey, whenever I decide to give feedback or give my opinion on something, I always take time to be well informed, to be ready for when somebody asks me a question. If I know I'm going to be asked a question, I always make sure I'm prepared. And I think that's what's kind of sad, is just nowadays people just think it's so easy just to, you already have, big follow base on Instagram, or Snapchat, or, whatever. Or you're a big time YouTuber and you decide to start a podcast. Like, yeah, I'm not going to dog those people because, they already worked hard to get their fan base. They didn't just like pop up and just say, yeah, it falls from a tree, no, they worked hard because people like appreciated what they saw. They appreciated the work ethic that they put into it, and what they actually produce. They like their content. What you like, I may not like, but that's my opinion. You're allowed to have your opinions. And for me, it's just interesting, that some people just view this as a easy cash grab. Like, no, for me, it's fun. That's what it is. Like, yes, I still make some money to a degree. Like, I probably make $5 a month from this show, but I'm not complaining because that's great. That's $5 I didn't have before. But I'm not doing this because of the money, like, I'm doing this because I care, because I actually love what I do. I love getting in front of a microphone and talking about tech. I love talking about business. I love talking about video games. Then also the personal stuff. Like, I love giving people advice on how to view these situations that are hard for people, like relationships or, mental health and suicide awareness and, just, what's going on in my life, sharing with y'all so that we can have a healthy and genuine relationship going, that you guys can feel like you can almost feel like I'm right there with you, just talking to you. I want that to feel like that you guys would understand, like, hey, I'm not here to put a facade for y'all. Like, I'm going to be real, and I'm going to put myself out there and put the real me out there. And I think to me, that's what's always made it so fun, is just enjoying every minute I've gotten to do this show. And I'm still going to keep doing the show. I hope you guys don't feel like, oh, Josh is bailing on us now. No. We're still going to keep doing the show. The show will keep going on. And I think it's going to be even better this year because now we've got those first year bugs out of the way, like got the stomachs out of my bugs, or the bugs out of my stomach, and obviously now, like, I'm more comfortable with my equipment. I've gotten to a better place where I'm more accustomed to mastering on it and more attuned to knowing the habits of what my gear does and what it doesn't do. And I think to me, it's going to be an incredible year for growth. I think the channel is going to grow even more than what it did starting the first year. I know it will. And obviously, I know we're going to have even more guests, because I know you guys really loved having the guest on. We had a lot of guests. We had obviously some friends, some big names that some of you guys are familiar with. And this year is going to be no different. We're going to have names on here. We're like big names too. We're going to have like just great conversations, And I hope you guys constantly keep coming back and listening, because I love it when you guys, let me know how you feel about the episodes. How can I improve? Where can I improve? And what would you guys like to see? I always ask those 3 questions because they're essential to my growth. That's what I care about more. That, yeah, okay, I get another Patreon backer. Great. He wants to donate, say, $100 a month. That is a great, great blessing. that still doesn't replace, the valuable information that comes from somebody asking me, hey, I think you can improve in this area, man, and this is why I say this. And I say this in a constructive criticism manner. Or, to me, there's nothing that replaces that feeling of having someone who's going to give you constructive criticism, that they're going to say, hey, I would consider looking at this, or maybe consider talking about this, or maybe try changing this up and try something maybe a little bit different, And I think that's what makes it so fun, because even though, yes, I'll be honest, the editing process is pretty, I have it down to a science at this point because I've just gotten so used to how to organize it with the software. But yeah, there's going to be changes. Like eventually I'm going to end up upgrading my software and try something new, and I have to learn that software and then get used to the workflow on it. And obviously if we change the equipment for the show, I have to get used to the new equipment, tuning it, like what's a good way to balance this thing, or a good profile to make this sound better, or make it sound the way I want it to sound, like there's always going to be something that will change, And I think that it's something I just have to be ready for, and I'm not afraid of it. And I know you guys will be there with me to enjoy the ride, because this is going to be a crazy ride. And I'm just thankful that you guys have given me the honor and privilege of sharing my heart with y'all, and sharing what's been on my mind, on my heart, and just being real and genuine with y'all for this past year. To me, it means so much that you guys were willing to humble yourselves to, to accept my kindness and at least listen to what I had to say. And I can't say thank you enough for all of it, because it like I'm trying not to cry, I'm trying not to cry, but it's just been an incredible ride, and I am just elated with how things have played out. But for my fellow creators, fellow up and coming creators, don't be afraid to put your hands on something. Don't be afraid to jump in when someone asks you to jump in and tell you the water's fine. The water's not going to bite you. But you have to learn to take that leap of faith and trust that everything is going to be okay. You just have to trust the process. It will work itself out. And I know I will still continue to do the Real Talk episodes. I will say that now. And we might actually even create a new series for the show. And I think it's definitely going to be really fun, to be honest. I think it's going to be fun getting to do the new idea I have for the show. Obviously, I will also say this, that in terms of scheduling for the show, we will be doing the show at the same time, same time every week, Wednesdays. And on occasions when we have more time, there will be a Friday episode as well. I still don't want to make that leap to do 3 days, or maybe just go weekly and just do Monday through Friday. And I think overall, I'm super excited to see what this year has in store for us. I know that, you guys have sent me so many congratulations messages about it, and congratulating me about the show and how it's doing. And, thank you guys so much. I thank you for all my friends that have helped me along the way so far in my first year, and helping me, whether it be making the logo, to making the new intro, or making the original intros to begin with. I thank y'all so much for all the love and support that you guys have given me. And I just pray that this show continues to keep growing, and that it continues to be a blessing for my life, because it has helped so much, to the point that I'm happy and I'm content. That I'm not just, saying I'm happy because, oh yeah, he's happy. No. I say I'm happy because I mean it. Because I am happy. Because I'm grateful for all that has been done for me. And I couldn't ask for better. Because I couldn't ask for a better fan base. I couldn't ask for a better listener base. I couldn't ask for better followers, for better audience, for better Patreons. I couldn't ask for anything better. Because you guys constantly keep coming back, constantly keep listening, constantly keep sharing, and it's just insane. And I thank you guys so much for all that you have done. And I pray that you guys continue to be with me and you guys enjoy this new journey with me for this new year as we start the second year of the show. And, you know, obviously we started off with the first episode of the show, obviously, with the 1 year anniversary special. But obviously you guys will be getting a Friday episode this week. So I will say that now. I know. I'm excited. I have some topics lined up for y'all that I'm going to be posting on the Instagram page later. But for now, thank you guys for everything. Thank you so much for everything. I love you guys so much to death. And thank you guys for this amazing year. And let's hope this New Year's is just as good, bro. Or my fellow brothers and sisters that constantly keep listening to my show. But until next time, guys, I'll see you guys Friday. Love you guys. Bye.
Hey there. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day and listening to today's episode. If you're interested in supporting the show, whether it be financially, clicking the follow button, or just sharing the episode, it all works for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I love you guys to death.